Good evening and welcome to JoyNews Prime. Now, coming up in this edition, Railways Minister tears into National Democratic Congress for questioning President Akufo-Addo's vision to construct the Tema-Mpakadan Rail Line following recent accident involving a freshly procured train from Poland while on a test run. Also, growing pressure on President Akufo-Addo and his energy minister to act to end the current erratic supply being experienced as a governance expert argues the government has not really worked hard in solving it.
We are lacking leadership on this crisis. We know the feud between GRIDCO, ECG, PURC, and others, and this is the time we have expected the president to take charge.
Now, Railways Minister tears into the National Democratic Congress for questioning President Akufo-Addo's vision to construct the Tema-Mpakadan Rail Line following recent accident involving a freshly procured train from Poland while on a test run. According to the minister, the recent accident cannot take away the effort of the Akufo-Addo-led MPP government in reviving the rail line sector in the country. It will be recalled that former President John Mahama expressed concerns about the safety protocols following the accident involving a newly imported train on a test run along the Tema-Mpakadan Rail Line. Taking to social media platform X, formerly Twitter, Mr. Mahama raised pertinent inquiries about the procedures preceding the test ride. Let's share with you what he really said. Now, on Twitter, he tweeted, or on X, which is formerly Twitter, he tweeted asking that was there a test run, was there some sort of inquiries done on the rail line before the test run was done. He says that if he is as president or he becomes president, he will ask pertinent questions about this particular accident. But speaking on PM Express on Monday, the Railways Development Minister, John Peter Ameo, disagreed with the former president, John Mahama, for wading into the controversy that erupted following the accident.
Passenger services on train lines are not, it's not a profitable venture. But what it does is that it has a multiplier effect in terms of its impact on the economy. Workers are sent quicker to their point of destinations. They're able to move to work and do things quickly and return. So diminishing on the intensity of traffic density, the route in terms of the lifespan will be projected. So these are some of the things that you don't see physically. But if you factored it into the gains, then you realize that, it's worth doing it. But you don't really get a return in terms of profit. We did some analysis, for instance, by using, I think, a maximum of about 200 people, running a day for, and it's not much. We're making quite close to about, I think about 500,000, 536,000 a month. But the cost is in excess. The cost is about 700,000. So it means there's still a viability.
Because if you look at it, you have to maintain it.
You have to maintain,
right? And you're not making enough money.
No.
How do you maintain it? Yeah. How do you run this sustainably?
And that is why all over the world, governments get involved in the operation of a passenger train in terms of services. By closing that viability gap. Because this one, we're going to buy fuel.
Absolutely.
We're going to buy fuel. We're going to employ workers. And we have built at least about 8 stations on the line. We're going to put people there.
So guaranteed it will run at a loss?
Definitely, there's not going to be, it's not a profitable venture as I stated it, based on the studies that we've conducted. You're not going to make 1 city, for passengers. But when you start running the freight, the expectation is that that gain from the freight will cover this viability gap that we're seeing in the passenger round. A rail track was put ahead. Earlier on in the morning, they went around the whole line to see that there was no obstacle. 30 minutes this time before the takeoff of this DMU, the rail track, the maintenance track, was put ahead. So what is he saying when he said inspection?
This is what he says. How can you conduct a test run on the new railway line without a track inspection? How long had the vehicle been on the track before the test run? If I were president, I'll be asking some serious questions. The second question he asked...
Can I answer that question?
Yes.
I don't think he understood the question himself, his accent. Did he try to find out whether inspection was done as a former president? did you, did he make an effort or fight before coming out with this? Sometimes some of us just refuse to talk because some of this statements being made by people at higher authority. If I'm a former president, I would never say this type of thing. Did he try? He knows me well. He could just find out from me from the office. Oh, my minister, my boy. Then we'll tell him the truth. He has not established that fact, and as a president have an intention of coming to lead Ghanaians, and you come out with this sort of statement. I don't know. Surprisingly, this type of I don't know how to describe it, but His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, this is below the belt. I am sorry, I give you all the kind of respect, but I expect you to find out first. This is below the belt.
Well, the NDC is still insisting that the rail line terminating at Mpakadan does not make economic sense unless it is able to help transport goods to the north of the country. Here is the communications director of the party, Sammy James, speaking to Evans Mensah a while ago on Top Story.
The purpose of the Tema-Akosombo, now Tema-Mpakadan Railway Line, is not just about the transportation of passengers. If that were the case, then that project would not have been viable from day one, because you cannot just transport passengers from Tema, Afienya, all the way to Mpakadan and be able to repay the loan which we got from the Indian Exim Bank for this project.
Well, he admits that.
The whole essence...
He actually admits that. He actually admits that it's not going to be financially viable with the way they've started now. But
exactly.
They have a plan to do...
This minister is actually a confused minister, a bundle of contradiction. I heard him attack President Mahama, President Mahama's harmless questions on that unfortunate accident that happened.
And Sammy, just a second, I'll come to John Mahama shortly, but on the substantive matter of the viability, although he admits it's not viable now, he raises questions with your conclusion that the termination at the Akosombo port, which you had argued in your piece, that was the original plan to make it viable because it's going to be transporting goods. He says they are building a port at Mpakadan, and that is the second phase of the project, which will then make it financially viable when they bring in 12 locomotives.
Clearly, this minister doesn't know what he's talking about. Look, I have not raised any issue with the terminal point of this railway line being in Mpakadan. Go through the write-up and tell me where I raise an issue with that, on the terminal point of the railway line they built. The issue I raise has to do with the fact that this Tema-Akosombo, now Tema-Mpakadan Railway Line, is supposed to connect the Tema port to the northern parts of Ghana and beyond. That is the original rationale, the strategic consideration for the project. To have a railway line from Tema port to Akosombo or Mpakadan, wherever you want to terminate it, and to have lake transportation from that point to Bute in the northern region of Ghana, so that goods like fuel products, like cement, and what have you, can be transported from the Tema port all the way to the northern parts of the country. You should go and read the Ghana Railways Authority's own policy paper on this project.
Yeah, but Sammy, why
that is the original rationale of the project.
Yeah,
so if you build a railway line, Evans, let me conclude on this. If you build a railway line that can now, as we speak today, only transport passengers and cannot transport goods to the northern part of the country, what have you done?
Now, away from that, Doomsaw is simply because there's no money to buy gas. Now, how much do we need to purchase fuel to feed power plant? Isaac Ofori-Atta, lead data and research analyst here at the JoyNews, joins me with more answers. First, let's start with the liquidity constraint, Kofi.
Well, so the liquidity constraint, we've been talking about it here on JoyNews Prime, and this hint was given by the Ghana Energy Commission. Well, according to them, we need that figure on the touch screen, $1.14 billion to buy fuel this year. So we decided to do some sort of computation to look at how much we'll need every month and every day. Well, I mean, you heard Kojo Poku on Top Story saying it's not fuel. I mean, but Ghanaians want to know what is actually the problem, because we know the Energy Commission said that plant maintenance costs and fuel restrictions could cause our dependable capacity to fall. And that's what we are facing at the moment. So 1.4 billion, 1.4 billion, that comes down to some $95 million every month, about $3.2 million every day to buy the fuel. Now, we know that because of the current economic, crisis going on, we all know, and you are aware of, the situation with WAPCO and the fact that we get some of the gas or the fuel here, but the ones that we have to depend on N-Gas or the West African Gas Pipeline sometimes delays because of the arrears we have. And that we know is one key component causing the current doomsday that we are facing.
Interesting. What are some of these, because look, 1.14 billion is a lot of money. What are some of the sources that we derive funding from to buy fuel to power the plants?
Well, it's actually been absolutely about more than a year since we did the domestic debt exchange program, and I always said that it will cause some sort of problems. And one of the problems it has caused is that it has actually collapsed the local bonds market that we had. And when we declared that we were going to default on most of our debt, we also lost access to the international capital market. So usually, when we have some of these situations, because, the 2024 budget estimates that the total shortfall in the energy sector for 2024 is estimated around more than 23 billion Ghana cedis. If we are very, benevolent and we use $1 to 10 cedis, that's about $2.3 billion. That's the kind of money we need to close that shortfall. Now, usually we were relying on sources like ECG collections. ECG collection is supposed to be the primary source. But we've seen from the various PRC reports that ECG currently is not able to collect, the PRC threshold of 98%. In fact, there was some sort of, period that they were supposed to, collect about, 8 billion Ghana cedis. ECG ended up only collecting 4.9 billion cedis. So that's shortfall who is paying. So if you are relying on ECG for the money for the cash waterfall mechanism, they are not raising enough. And even if they raise enough, exchange rate losses also comes in here. Then another angle is, should we increase tariffs? We already know that the automatic tariff adjustment is in session. And we are already, we are in the second year already, and we've seen the effects. And we've seen that that is still not solving the problem. So the issue about tariff is possibly a no-go area at the moment, because you know what Ghanaians are feeling and all of that. Then government securities. This used to be, a big pool that we could go and get money from the bonds market, from the T-bill market. Let me start from the local bonds market. It's no longer there. It's collapsed. We used to get money from ESLA, Dachi bonds, the GOG bonds. When the government was in trouble, the Bank of Ghana can just come in and bail them out by buying the bonds. But now, they've been asked to sign a 0% financing agreement with the finance ministry. So now the finance ministry needs about 1.4 billion or $1.3 billion to save the energy sector, to pay for the top-ups.
But they can't go to
the Bank of Ghana because of that 0% financing that we have. T-bill markets, this year, that is what we are surviving on. But currently, because the rate has been reduced, it's no longer lucrative or attractive. So we've seen some marginal under subscription there. And the last one being the Eurobond, where we were getting, in the last 5 years or 6 years, we were getting $3 billion almost every year. Now that market is no longer available, and we are really struggling. So the issue has to do with money. And we are not the ones saying it. PRC has said it. Gridco has said it. Mines and Energy Committee, Parliament has said it. And even the ECG said there was a time that they needed money to buy fuel. They told the finance ministry, they said, go ahead and buy, we'll reimburse you. To date, that money has not been paid.
Well, and from our national dialogue, we realized that fund or finance is a major issue of where we are. But let's still stay in the energy sector, because there's increasing pressure on President Akufo-Addo and his energy minister to take decisive steps to end the current erratic power supply being experienced nationwide. Now, large parts of the country continue to be plunged into darkness every single day due to what everyone now know to be inadequate fuel to power the thermal electricity generating plant. Only last week, President Akufo-Addo broke his silence on the situation when he commissioned the Kumasi 1 thermal plant, but did not announce any concrete steps to fix the problem.
Our national electrification rate of 88.8% is one of the highest on the continent, and the goal is to have full electricity access by the end of this year. In the areas of power generation, transmission, and distribution, my government has made and continues to make significant investments towards the provision of reliable and competitively priced electricity to assure economic growth. This is part of our commitment to realizing the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I do acknowledge, Regional Minister, Minister for Energy, ladies and gentlemen, and Nananom, the challenges that the people of Ashanti and indeed of other parts of the country have had to endure in very recent times over the supply of power. And I can only thank you for the patience you have exhibited in the face of these challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, I must perforce thank Akufo-Addo, who graciously intervened with the authorities of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology to release a portion of their land for the construction of this power station and gas pipeline infrastructure. And I thank the Vice Chancellor of the university for this important contribution.
Now, civil society organizations and other analysts are turning the heat on the president and his appointees for immediate action. Former UN senior governance advisor, Prof. Bafo believes the president has not taken charge of the crisis. He wants the president to address the nation consistently like he did during COVID-19.
An aspect of good governance, certainly, is the responsiveness of government when citizens express concern about critical issues as we are facing. But so far, I think we are lacking leadership on this crisis. We know the feud between GRIPCO, ECG, PURC, and others, and this is the time we have expected the president to take charge, just as he did successfully during the COVID era, when he was able to brief us periodically on the situation. This current crisis is almost nationwide, and there's a huge public concern expressed through many media, especially on social media. People are very frustrated, and I think it's an occasion for the president to be seen as being in charge. And I wish the president can assemble those players in the energy sector and give them marching orders and assure the nation that serious efforts are underway to rectify the situation. So far, I think we haven't seen much transparency on this matter. We haven't seen a real concern expressed by government, the president on this matter, and therefore the whole nation seems to be just bemoaning and lamenting the crisis without any serious response from government.
Now, energy analyst Kojo Jant says if the president and his team cannot fix the situation, they must all resign.
I don't understand the situation where we don't want to open up and be transparent about this particular issue. Rather, we tell the Minister of Finance, please find money, find money, find money. How much money are we talking about? How much? We gave you the country to look after, your management to look after, to make sure that it is being run well. If you feel got to a point to do it, get out of the soup. Get out of it. Because we cannot continue this way. At least give us a time this will end. And if it's in perpetuity, then we know it's in perpetuity. So we plan. The operative word there amongst this cocktail is finance. That is the operative word. You need finance to be able to buy feedstock. You need finance because gas is a challenge. Apart from that, the other side of the question that makes it even more difficult is the personal interest bit that is in there. And we need to address. Look, I was expecting the president, when he commissioned the K1 in Kumasi, I was expecting him as an opportunity to tell to Ghanaians, yes, we appreciate the patience you've had for us.
Now, away from that, residents of the Upper West region have added their voices, urging government to come out with a timetable to enable them to plan their daily activities. Business persons offering secretarial services, students and workers say the frequent unplanned power outages are having an effect on their businesses. They complain that the power outages have resulted in their gadgets being spoiled and the students are unable to study for their exams. JoyNews Upper West regional correspondent Rafik Salam reports from Wa.
Unplanned power outages and punishing high temperatures, making lives uncomfortable for residents of the Upper West region. For several months, businesses have been suffering as a result of the former, making residents struggle for survival. Standby generators are often used, especially by few people, to run their businesses during the power outages. Others who cannot afford the services of a standby generator feel the pinch and pain and sit down like Egyptian mummies seeking for help. Lutfia Yahya is the manager of Ludeness Ventures. They are offering secretarial services, sale of stationaries, and other office equipment.
The first effect of the light outs mostly is it spoils a lot of our machines. That's the first effect, and then sometimes when it's like that and the machine shut off without you following the normal procedure to shut it down, when you want to on it again, there's a code that will come that gives you a lot of problems. You rather will incur a cost of changing part of it or something. And then secondly, when the light went off like that, we are forced to put on the generator. That is additional cost that we add to our business.
Students of the Simon Diodon Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, SDDU, are also not left out in the power outage conundrum. The situation is even worse during the examination week, forcing them to use unconventional ways to study.
My hostel, we are about 7 inside, and imagine if lights up, how we feel the condition there. We are crowded and no light. Some of us are using electrical gadgets to cook. We can't cook. We go through a lot through the dome. So
some students got bitten by snakes and other dangerous reptiles as a result.
If the movement of one place to another, especially from this place to campus, there is no even street light here. And also, we are girls. The girls now, we fear. We are scared. So because of that now, we always come and hang around this place, sit, so waiting for the light to come back. We just sit and refresh ourselves and waiting until the lights come before we get to our hostel because it's always warm inside.
When you start to learn, then the light is out, doom so. You get back inside and then it will come back. So you have to come down again and then go to class. You go to class and then boom, the light is out again. So because of that, people just say, oh, then it's okay, I'm not learning. Let me sleep, let me do this, let me do something else. Let me come out and sit. And now too, because of the weather, the snakes and reptiles are always coming out. So if you don't take care, you can get bitten. The last time one lady got bitten while sitting outside because of doomso. If she was inside, this thing wouldn't have happened.
So what the people in the Upper West region are now talking about is that at least they want a timetable so that they can be able to plan their lives. So they are calling on the government to come to their aid, let them have a timetable for these lights out in the Upper West region so that their businesses, their children's school studies will not be truncated. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Now, the Education Minister, Dr. Aidoo, has admitted there is a serious infrastructure challenge that has plagued the implementation of the Free Senior High School program. This has led to overcrowding in many schools, leading to the implementation of a double track system. While some schools have now ended the shift system, other schools continue to implement it. Now, speaking at an event to tell the Free SHS story, the minister said government will not relent in fixing all the problems facing the program, assuring the public that a double track system will be ended in due course.
The Free Senior High School is nearing a decade of implementation, and according to the Education Minister, Dr. Aidoo, while infrastructure remains a challenge, government is committed to fixing that and eroding double track in all schools. Dr. Aidoo says while critics focus on the negatives, he and his team at the Education Ministry are working to make the Free Senior High School an all-round success.
I hear all the time people talking about the Free Senior High School, and they don't tell the story of the children who were here. You have to look at something negative and focus on that. They are not focusing on the story of the children. This is a program that has touched many lives.
In his presentation, Dr. Aidoo highlighted that government has not abandoned basic schools as the NDC claims.
But I know there are some who are watching from home and around the world, and they are saying, what about basic schools? Have you abandoned them? So they will say, yeah, we'll give you credit. You've done well with senior high school. But if you abandon basic schools, children are sitting on the trees, and you're talking about drones. To them, I have a response. I look forward to a day when parents will line up in front of our public schools and beg to enroll their children. That is the day. And it will soon come. And it has begun under Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. Let me move. This is your junior high school.
Meanwhile, some beneficiaries of the Free Senior High School STEM education shared with JoyNews the experience of undertaking a holistic science and technology education.
It was such a thrilling experience. We got to see different kinds of people from different countries. We got to see Nigerians, Chinese, Philippines, and other stuff. And we actually cooperated with them very well. And people of Japan also are welcoming and very nice people. And they also let us in on some of their inventions. They made us see how to cure kidney stones and everything. And also, we interacted with some of their high school kids who are at the same level with us. And then our interactions with them were actually quite impressive. And for our school, we will be inventing an airplane very soon, because we've seen that it's quite an easy mechanism for some aspects of it. So very soon we'll be implementing an airplane and many more. And for sanitation too, we are also developing, with the help of our team, we are also developing various ideas. So very soon you'll hear from us.
The Education Ministry believes in the new policies it continues to put in place in the implementation of the Free Senior High School program, which they say will fix its challenges and deliver on quality education outcomes.
This is still the JoyNews Prime. We will take a short break. We'll be back with more. Please stay. Don't go away. The JoyNews Prime. Now, President of the Diaper Importers Association of Ghana, Nanobri Asamoah, is accusing the Food and Drugs Authority of deliberately sabotaging local importers of diapers to favor foreign manufacturers in Ghana. He made these allegations at a news conference held here in Accra. There's more in this report.
FDA requested or queried certain importers to provide certain documentations in the system. They provided all those certificates in the system. FDA did not approve. It took them to go further to certain officers who said to them that they should go to the head office to get approval from the CEO. I've never heard of any procedure like this until about a month ago. When you do this, then the impression that is out that certain persons possibly may have contacted FDA in an attempt to get monopoly. Then what we are doing seeks to give credence to what the allegations that people are putting out there.
At the press conference, President disclosed that the association had paid a substantial amount of $7,000 to the FDA for licenses, certificates covering storage, manufacturing, labeling, and training related to their diaper importation business. However, he expressed shock and dismay at the sudden revocation of their license by the FDA.
Diapers, baby diapers, or the banner of the Kwakushi Fusu. There be Nemum near Yenati, Yensu 2 more, a food and drop board 40 and say. A son frustration, I'm going to for Comu or Ghana Honey Port Twintino. I am uncle for the and your money a day, Efra, a journey and 5 borders. And on 19 as a be one and may be a Kwakupio, baby dear. A frustration on the and day, a Kumutin and Nipanso dear. I say, Upamufua. Otono mema and is already now need us and you between the afa to go and baby na say kakre no de be frem no de aba no nye for
Nana Obria Samoa II appealed to the FDA to reconsider their decision and reinstate their license to enable them continue operating in the industry.
Mo anga sama my certificate mo de akọ training ye nyese training no kra mo de yakọ say man tueska dia mo be ye bia ye tua ho ska mamo na ye the diapers nso abrem ye the standard board Modia de akom lab. Makoye test ni nyina ma yan se niam na edumi de ba ye papa. Na fe musa fa kire se mo begu adwuma de a. Na ne omo kana yampa. Yampa o magege ya hihye me ya ademodie pese o gu adwuma no. Nti yesre se obi obeti ye nka bia no. Onka bi ma yen na ye gana ma se na be ya adwuma ne be den e betumi akoso.
Chairman of the Greater Accra chapter of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Nana Pepra, urged the FDA and government to address their concerns promptly to prevent further escalation and discontent within the business community.
One or two things. The whole thing is that we can never say some of the traders should work and then others should not work. The whole thing is that we are all bringing these products to Ghanaian market in order to what? Get something to feed our family. But what I'm calling for is that we have a collaboration with Ghana Food and Drug Board. They have been collaborating with them. They have asked them to do 1 or 2 things. They are doing it. If they think they have to go further and do 1 or 2 other things too, they will do it. But to create enabling environment for a few people to trade, whilst others too, you are just putting them aside, it will create problem.
A member of the Diaper Importers Association shared her personal experience of financial losses incurred due to the recent regulatory actions.
3.7 billion loan kwana me kwaje ye edi tia ye na nyoma ne sai na menya woso sai na menya woso aden na moma nipa ho nto no si anya Ghana fo a munchire ye kurom ne yenko
Well, in today's filth exhibition, we take you to the Akufo-Addo Line community in the Ashanti region, where residents live in self-created filth-infested neighborhood. My colleague Clinton Yeboah sheds light on the alarming situation, highlighting the unsanitary practices that have become the new normal in the area. Here is a report.
This and many more unpleasant-to-eye activities go on here at the Akufo-Addo Line slum. The neighborhood sits between Abuabo, New Zongo, and Asim in the Ashanti region. This enclave has colliding wooden structures, serving as home and shelter. So when you enter Akufo-Addo Line, specifically the Akufo-Addo Line Zongo, you would realize that many people have turned wood structures and kiosks into homes and shelter. That's not the only thing. The gutters here and open spaces for water have been blocked. Somehow, the people who live around here have managed to turn these gutters and open waterways into dumping sites and defecation hubs. The small paths between hanging structures called homes are full of trash, dirty and messy drains, discarded electronics, food packages, empty plastic bottles and glasses, leaking sewage, rotten food scraps, fruit peels and other biodegradable materials twist through the maze of houses. Open defecation, once an abnormal necessity, has become an accepted norm. Residents in the vicinity have expressed growing concerns over the deteriorating sanitation conditions plaguing their neighborhood.
The filth is made by the people who live around here. They sneak through waste in the gutter at night and dawn. They also defecate here. Meanwhile, we have a dumping site just close to the Bafo station. It is very worrying. When you say it, they will insult you.
Unity oil, medical, and almost some baby. A baby to us in United see about we station. I show me mobile.
Local workers around the area echoed similar sentiments, revealing the challenges they face daily due to lack of proper waste management.
Nti yabo kono obansa ngofo kutokoto asi amuko toilet ewianse wasi a omu bie toilet na namunso inu sa.
We close at 7 p.m. and even before it's dark, you can spot people defecating in plain sight. And when we open the gutter, all the waste run through here. The scrap dealers have also turned here into a dump site for their unwanted waste.
Unfortunately, the canker does not end in houses and workplaces. Now, when you walk 3 minutes from the gutter, which has been filled with waste and stagnant waters, you can see a congregation of women here gathered to prepare meals for public consumption. Although most of them have denied interviewed with us, some of them who talked with us are complaining bitterly how this is affecting their business and activities here.
The
filth starts from the far end. We have no control over it.
As concerns mount, residents and workers are calling on local authorities to enforce regulations and hold offenders accountable.
But the residents seemed unperturbed. They should set up a task force purposely for this to punish perpetrators.
The Ashanti Regional Fire Commander, ACFO Henry Fatai Giwa, highlighted the security dangers when the condition remains the same for a long time.
Seriously, I don't think when there's any fire outbreak over there, we'll be able to do much. Just because when you look at the materials over there, most of them are highly combustible materials and class A, meaning as soon as the fire starts, it will just spread like that.
Well, when the rains come with strong winds, Accra doesn't only experience flooding. Trees, poles and billboards sometimes are brought down. In the ministry's police station area on Tuesday, the National Disaster Management Organization was called in to assist. Caleb Osei Mainsense report read to you.
Those are workers of the National Disaster Management Organization at work to remove this billboard, which collapsed onto the middle of the road during Tuesday's rainstorm. The road between the Ministry Police Station and the court complex had been blocked for about half an hour when our news team got to the scene. The men at work were determined to get the job done, risking their well-being. Faustina is a hawker along the stretch. She narrates how it all happened. Madame Rebecca Odoi is a commissioner of oath at the ministries. She believes prompt repair works on such boards would have prevented the incident.
When the billboard fell down, actually I didn't know what really happened, but I was inside. When people were complaining that the way they installed the billboard was not fair, so it can easily lead to a dangerous situation. If they install the billboard, they have to make sure that the billboard is fair. It will not fall down when there's rainy season. Because the wind, many times when the wind is too much, so much, even trees can easily fall down and it will lead to accidents.
At the time of our departure from the scene, the dedicated workers of the National Disaster Management Organization had cleared the road. Caleb Osei-Mensah's report for Joy News.
This is still the JoyNews Prime.